TudorCon 2026 in Richmond, Virginia. As a longtime attendee and first-time speaker, I'm super excited to be preparing this snippet for Taste of TudorCon to hopefully share the Tudor love with even more people. We'd certainly love to have you in either Richmond with us in person or for TudorCon at home. I hope you enjoy all of the snippets you're going to be seeing throughout Taste of TudorCon. Big thank you to Heather for not only getting TudorCon started, but for trying to share the love with as many people as possible. So my talk this year is going to be on the Spanish Inquisition and the Marian counter-reformation of Tudor England. That's a lot of words, but it's really talking about the Spanish Inquisition and the reign of Queen Mary and how she and her government treated the Protestants during her attempted counter-reformation back to Catholicism. Now you may be wondering, what does the Spanish Inquisition really have with TudorCon or Tudor history? And you would be in good company, because when I said this was the topic I wanted to write about way back in college, my college advisor looked at me and said, but the cohort is learning about the Spanish Inquisition. I was like, yes. But I researched into the methods, the laws, the customs of the Spanish Inquisition, and I looked into English customs for arrests for persecution of religious peoples, and was pretty fascinated with what I found. And so I'm super excited to share that with you all and TudorCon. Today we're going to talk about a much smaller subset. We're going to look at what it looked like to be arrested and investigated by the Spanish Inquisition in the 1500s as a Spanish peasant. So, let's set the scene. You're a Spanish peasant. You have a wife, you have children, you're a farmer, you're gainfully employed in that aspect. You farm for the local lord, you go to church, you do your things, you have your squabbles with your neighbors, you grumble over your taxes, but all in all, you live a decent life. And then one day, you are taken from your bed in the middle of the night, and you're taken to a local, but not normal, public jail. You're thrown into a cell, and you don't know what you're doing. Why are you there? Where these people have taken you? The next day, you're brought out in front of a magistrate, in front of a prosecutor, secretary, and they ask you, anything to confess? Your heart sinks a little. This isn't your typical magistrate. This isn't your typical jail. You are in front of your local tribunal, the arm of the Spanish Inquisition in your local town. Now, you start racking your brains. You've been thinking all night. You had no idea why you were there. Now you start racking your brain even further. Oh no, what could I have done? How did I get denounced? Who ratted on me? What did I do that someone saw that made them think I'm a heretic? You start racking your brain. You're like, well, I mean, I'm always fighting with my neighbor. Like, I hate that he continues to use my well, even though he knows he's not supposed to, but he says he's supposed to. So maybe after this last squabble, he's decided to find a way to get rid of me. Well, I'm not a very good neighbor. My neighbor and I, this happens all the time, blah, 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 blah. If my neighbor is the one who denounced me, then, I mean, you should just know, this is just a neighbor versus neighbor thing. This has nothing to do with actual heresy. Like, I promise, I'm a good Catholic. You don't have to worry about me. The secretary is writing down everything you say, and they just look at you. They say anything else, and you're like, I mean, no, I mean, that's the only thing it could be, right? They take you back to your cell. The next day or a couple days later, they bring you out again, and you've been still thinking, what could it have possibly been? And you're like, anything to confess? Oh, well, I was thinking, y- I have eaten meat on Lent or on Fridays before, but I have a special dispensation for that. You can check in with my priest; they can tell you that. But I really think it's my neighbor because I forgot. I also just recently this new thing happened with the neighbor, and that's probably why he's really pissed at me because I got this special recognition at work and he didn't, and he got really really angry about it. Okay. Anything else? No, you can't think of anything else. So they take you back to your cell. While you're there, you're thinking about how it's your money that's paying for that cell, for those people to investigate you. You worry about your wife. How's she holding up? Does she have money for your food, for your children? Does she have money for your food here in jail? You're thinking about your rainy day fund, and it's got to be dwindling faster and faster and faster. So, a third time, they bring you in front of that same magistrate, prosecutor, secretary, and they ask again, do you have anything to confess? I'm like, no, I truly, honestly can't think of anything else that I have to confess. A defense attorney of sorts comes in, and they tell you, you've been denounced as a heretic for eating meat on Fridays, and we're not entirely sure, but we felt that it was kosher meat. The denunciation said it was kosher meat. And you're thinking, oh, no, 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 that's perfect. I said exactly that. That's like, I know exactly what that is. I gave you the evidence. I told you the priest told me that I gave me the dispensation that I didn't have to and that he knew about it. My wife knew about it. Everyone knew about it. I promise, go talk to my priest. Everything will be fine. Okay. They write all that down. They send you back to your cell. A couple days later, your defense attorney, the magistrate, the secretary meet with you and tell you, congratulations, you get to go home. Now, it's been several weeks at this point. You're thin, you're tired, you're hungry, you've got a new nervous condition you never had before. But you get to go home. This was the absolute best case scenario. You were imprisoned, you paid for your imprisonment, you suffer malnutrition and PTSD, but you were able to go home. Now, if you were not quite so lucky, if you didn't have any ready evidence to prove your innocence, because that was your job, it was your job to prove your innocence. If you've been brought before this court, you've already been assumed guilty. And it was this court's job to get a confession and a recantation saying, yes, I was wrong, I did the wrong thing, and I promise I'm going back to the Catholic faith. Now, if you didn't have that easy proof, or if you were in fact heretical, instead of providing your proof, figuring out that you could go home, the next step after that third interrogation was to have a little more pressure applied. They're going to leave you to rot for a few days or weeks and bring you out and ask you again. Okay, we've told you your accusation. We haven't told you who accused you. We haven't given you any details so you know what to defend against, but you know your accusation. How do you respond? And this time when you're talking, there's torture implements in the room. Fingernail pliers, Garucha ropes for dropping you from the ceiling. The rack sits in the corner. A jug of water and a cloth, an early form of waterboarding. And you just start talking about how, well, I don't know how they could have possibly seen me eating meat on a Friday. I mean, my wife cooks food on Friday. If they didn't say that her did it, if she did it too, if she and the kids weren't also eating meat on Friday, then I couldn't possibly have eaten meat on Friday. Now, that's not proof that you didn't. That's just you putting your wife in the crosshairs at this point, at least in the eyes of the court. And if that's all you say, they'll send you back to your cell that you pay for. And then a few days later, they bring you out and they ask you again. Well, do you have anything to confess about this? What do you have to say about this? You have to be like, we have proof that you're eating meat on Fridays. You must not be a true good Catholic. But this time, they're doing it in a room where you get to watch someone else be tortured. You get to watch as the Grucha raises someone up to the ceiling, then a jagged jump down, a drop that pulls their arms out of their sockets. You get to watch as their fingernails are taken off. You get to watch as the scavenger's daughter squishes and squeezes your body out of shape. You hear bones crunch. But what you don't see is blood. Because the Inquisition had a very strict code. There should be no loss of life or limb to torture. Because torture wasn't meant to be punishment. This is the investigation phase. This is about applying enough pressure to get you to speak the truth, to unburden your soul and admit that you were no longer a good Catholic, so that you could be saved and you could be brought back to the fold, alive or dead. Now, if you still have nothing to say, if you still have no proof that truly exonerates you, then you would be tortured in the next session. Now, you have one bright spot. The Inquisition only allows for one torture session. So, okay, if I can make it through this one, if I can get through it, then they'll have to believe me. I've survived under torture. It'll be fine. But it gets so hard, so painful, and you can't handle it anymore. So you confess, yes, I was a bad Catholic. I ate meat on Fridays, and whatever other things you want me to say. And so it stops. The torture stops. They bring you back to your cell, and then the next day they say, oh, so you truly do, you confess then. You confess you're a bad Catholic. And you've had all night to think about it, and you're like, no, I can't be an accused. If I'm a heretic, they can take all of my things, all of my money, all of my house. Like, I could be killed. No, I have to, no. Sorry, no, that was just the torture talking, that was not me. You think, well, I only allowed one session of torture. Unfortunately for you, the torture session hadn't ended with your confession. It was suspended. And if you had said, yes, I continue to confess, I continue to say I am a bad Catholic and I am so sorry and I am repentant, then the torture would have stopped. But now you're backtracking. And so will the jailers. Back to the torture chamber for another round. Now, if you did decide to stay with, nope, I am a repentant and very, very sorry Catholic. I didn't mean to be heretical. I was hungry and I work in the fields and I needed meat and I couldn't take it. I didn't actually mean to offend God. I succumbed to the needs of my flesh. All right, there's no real intent behind there. There's a pretty good chance you could be let go. Now, you'd be let go with some pretty serious fines, manual labor, floggings, whippings, time in the galleys, exile, prison sentences, steep fines, religious humiliation in your local church, but you would be let go and you would be reformed and brought back into the fold and allowed to live your life. Now, if you haven't, that's where you can learn more at TudorCon. Sorry to bait and switch a bit like that or to leave you on a cliffhanger. But if you would like to learn more about what happens if you do not make it out of the Inquisition and what it was like to be in an English jail as a Protestant, join us at TudorCon 2026, either in Richmond or at TudorCon at home. I'm so excited to see everyone and to continue sharing my thesis. All right, thanks everybody. Bye.